Hello, how are you tonight? I'm Tiffany, and tonight we're going to be talking about if you're one of those people who ask your friends, your doctors, maybe even strangers, advice about orgasms, and you still have nothing to show for it. Stick around because this video is going to be for you. If you are here and you have a friend who needs to hear this, make sure that you invite them on over, you share this video with them, tag them so that they make sure that they get to see it. You can grab them, tag them, all that stuff. I'm Tiffany Yelverton. I am the chief sexinista and orgasm guru for Entice Me, and I'm the best in the world at disarming sexual shame and teaching women how to have amazing orgasm and pleasure. I inspire women to love their bodies, and I truly believe that if women have the orgasms of their dreams, that we close the pleasure gap and all of the power imbalance in the world will be balanced for our planet. So again, today we're talking about those people, and maybe you just need to invite your friends who do this, because we all know we have them, that sit around and always complain about things, or if they're always asking you advice, or if you're always asking your friends advice on orgasms and intimacy and you still have nothing to show for it. Tonight we're going to talk about that. But before we get started, I want to let you know that I've opened up 5 of my Power of Pleasure calls, and I would love for you to book one with me if you have issues in this area, or this is you and this video really taps a nerve for you. And there'll be a link up above, and I'll put one in the comments below. So again, if you're just tuning in, our topic tonight is if you're one of those people that's always asking your friends for orgasm advice or sex advice and you still have nothing to show for it, we're talking about that tonight. And when we get into that, I'm going to share with you in just a few minutes. But I wanted to tell you about one of my customers and clients that was doing this. And we'll call her Carrie. I try to keep my clients' names, on the DL. They're pretty good to me, so I like to keep them also very discreet. So we'll call her Carrie, and Carrie was notorious for asking all of her friends advice about dating, about boyfriends, about orgasm especially, and she read book after book and articles on the internet and asked doctors about it. And I'll tell you this, doctors don't know anything about orgasms because that's not their specialty. Doctors, even OBGYNs, get about 6 hours of training in sex in their entire medical career. I've had doctor upon doctor tell me that they learn more in an hour presentation with me than they ever learned in med school. So your doctors don't know, get a professional. So anyway, Carrie was driving her friends crazy. I could just tell by some of the answers that they were giving her. And so she finally hired a professional, me, and spent the afternoon with me, and we got into the subjects that she was concerned about. We gave her clarity and confidence and satisfy a plan to move forward and the structure that she needed. And it was about vaginal atrophy and some other things that were affecting her orgasms. And I'm going to do a video on vaginal atrophy in a couple of days, so be on the lookout for that. So Carrie finally bit the bullet, and instead of just asking people, for years she'd been doing this. I had worked with her probably 7 years ago, maybe 10 years ago, and she finally hired me back and said, I need to get the answers. And one afternoon in an intensive, and things were so much better for her. She had what she needed to move forward, and she wasn't driving her friends and her doctors nuts. So again, if this resonates with you, today we're talking about if you're one of those people that asks everybody for advice, goes online, searches for everything, and you're not getting your answers and you still have nothing to show for it, you still aren't having orgasms, make sure that you book one of my Power of Pleasure calls. You can get it above the link or down below. And if you're here watching, I'd love to know where you're from so I can shout that out, and I would love to hear that. And I'm next now going to get into why it's so important to hire a professional. One, your friends are not experts. They probably are having less sex than you. They probably are having less orgasms than you, or not at all either. Do you know that 20% of women don't have orgasms from sex alone? 29% actually. And that 11% of women have never had an orgasm? So your friends aren't going to be helpful. You can ask them, and yes, it's fun to have those conversations, but wouldn't it be more fun to talk about topics that you're all interested in? And if your friends are an expert in orgasms, then you should be paying for them for their advice. So time is money. And if you're spending days and years and months, everything, trying to figure out how to orgasm, and you're just not getting there, hire somebody that's done it, who's put tons of women through the same process and is an expert on it. I kind of take it as, our time is so precious that when we waste time, we don't get to do the things that we like to do in life when we're spending it trying to solve our problems that are not in our wheelhouse. For example, my best friend is a professional organizer. I won't step away from here, but I am not organized. If I turned my camera toward my pantry, you would die. She would die. She would be on a plane out here in like 2.5 seconds because my brain doesn't work that way. My brain works with pleasure and sex. I've always had that sexy brain. But I'm telling you this because I put off cleaning my garage for year after year after year, never got it done, was getting ready to move again. And I was like, I haven't been through this stuff since the 10 years before when I moved. So she came out and we got it done in an afternoon. All that stress that it was causing me, all the money it saved from moving and repacking and all that stuff, it just makes sense to hire someone that is a professional. And then you can have fun conversations with your friends over wine or whatever you like to drink. And it takes you a day or a couple of weeks or a few weeks or months even, but instead of years of distress on your body. And stress is bad. Stress causes all kinds of disease in our body. So if you're one of those people that ask your friends for advice about orgasms and sex and they're not experts, make sure you schedule one of those Power of Pleasure calls with me, and we're going to figure it out what we can do to get you on that right path. And I want you to think about what that would do for your life if you had the time freedom from spending all those hours researching, and what you could do in your life that you want to accomplish, but also how great you will feel when you're having orgasms either by yourself or with your partner. One of the top questions that's typed into Google on the internet is, at least for women, is how do I have an orgasm with penetrative sex? That's the more polite way to say it, but how do you have orgasms during sex? That's the number one question that women type into Google. And we have the answers. I've got the course. I've got the education. I used to not orgasm, and I know what it's like. And now I have multiple orgasms, spontaneous orgasms, those orgasms that you see on TV and the movies that are fake. Well, mine aren't fake, and neither are my clients. So you can hire us, but let's explore it first. Make sure you schedule one of those calls with us and stop asking your friends for their advice. And we look forward to hearing from you. Take care and have a great night.